How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to another video, and it seems the inevitable of what I was, my worst fears of happening actually came to be, and the CMA did, in the end, uphold their block of the actual deal, and that is honestly truly tragic, but they've done this for multiple reasons. Now, from where I'm standing, it does seem like they basically wanted to give the FTC a fighting chance. As you're aware, the FTC did file that appeal, and that appeal will go ahead before the 18th of October. Now, the new deadline for their phase 1, as they are calling this a new term, which could theoretically go for another year, which would mean Microsoft would be out of pocket of not only billions, but, a lot of money. Especially the extra money that they put on the table. They're a big company, they can soak that up, that's not a problem. But the reality is, Ubisoft is basically going to be controlling the xCloud, not only in the UK, but it seems around the world. Now, what does this actually mean? So, for those ponies out there who think Starfield is coming to PlayStation, you are getting it at 0 gigabytes and 0 FPS with a black screen. That is not changing. But what is going to happen here is only Activision and Blizzard games are going to be on the xCloud, and only Activision and Blizzard games are going to be the ones affected. Oh, and according to the CMA, a lot of you actually out there want to play Candy Crush, the actual AAA gamers, AA gamers, single A gamers, the ones that actually pay £400 or £500 for a console. Apparently you don't want to play Candy Crush on your Xbox Series X or your PlayStation 5. So you're going to get that option if you sign up to Ubisoft's cloud structure and be able to play Candy Crush, because the CMA believes that Candy Crush has such a big market share that excluding it from other platforms is a big loss. Yeah, she's on drugs. Sarah Cardell is on drugs, if she actually genuinely believes that. But anyway, moving on. So the new Phase 1 is going ahead, and Phase 1 is going to end with the new comments, because they love their comment period, on September the 1st. I'm a little bit annoyed, as you may see, and honestly, as a gamer, I just wanted this whole ordeal to end. It's been going on for 19 months now, and it's looking like it's going to go on for another 3 months. It's going to hit roughly about 2 years before this is done. And the reality is, blocking this deal today was legally and factually wrong, but the CMA are going about it for a power play moment. This is deliberately to protect itself. They are doing this so they can look strong to the rest of the world, even though they are the only idiots left standing. And, I have seen a few things in the comment sections on Twitter, and a friend of mine told me that this is great for gamers. No, this is great for gamers when PlayStation Cronus is handled by Ubisoft, so other people can also gain access to those really good PlayStation games. Now, some of you may not like PlayStation games. I do, personally. But the reality is, it's only great for gamers when Xbox loses out. It's never great for gamers if Sony loses out. And that is the way that the mentality for the CMA and everyone is. Now, we had the whole situation with Marcus Smith, Judge Corley, Sony signing the deal. The CMA, in their response, completely downplayed the Sony deal, saying it was irrelevant, it mattered not for the market definition. They completely said that the cloud deals that are in place right now with all these other companies, Marcus Judge Smith, who basically told the CMA that this deal needs to go through, there's nothing there blocking it, and with Sony signing the deal, they could end all of this strife today by approving the deal. Even he's on board. Judge Corley, after dismissing the FTC's preliminary injunction and agreeing with all the facts in front of her, agreed that, there's no reason that the FTC should block this deal. The CMA said none of that was enough to make a change in scope. None of it. So this tells me two things. Number one, the CMA doesn't give a crap about what Justice Marcus Smith says. The CMA doesn't give a crap about what Judge Corley's verdict is. The CMA doesn't care about any regulator around the world and only wants to wag her dick around to make sure that the world can see exactly who she is. And by she, I mean Sarah Cardell. Now, The whole process, as we know right now, is restarting. We're beginning with phase 1, and then there will be a phase 2, with the phase 1 having a deadline, surprise, surprise, on the 18th of October. So that is where we are right now. This was all a stalling process, and the CMA full-heartedly played Microsoft. Now, Microsoft can actually close regardless of the CMA. They can do that if they want to, and honestly, I think they should. I think they should turn around, and after the way the CMA has played them for a fool, for the world stage to look, I mean, the CMA has already made it clear to the world stage, any company that is going to be in that position again, where they turn around to the opposition and say, look, let's work this out now. There's no need to go to the appellate court hearing for the CAT tribunal. We can work this out. Let's get back onto the table and sort things out. And Microsoft agreed with them. Do you think another company going forward ever is going to be this stupid to believe them? This was their one Hail Mary to give the FTC enough chance to cause enough of a problem in the US to try and block the deal there too. And with the FTC on their side, they'll have a much bigger standing to block the overall deal. That is what the CMA and the FTC are colluding with. And surprise, surprise, Lena Khan is back in the picture. That is where we're at right now. So a full-length review, according to Florian, is unlikely, and it could, even though not being a full-length review, go until the 18th of October. Now, the first phase is suggested to end around 18th of October, but they have set a 1st of September deadline for it to get the information and the comments from parties in yet again for the exact same question, but this time instead of Microsoft controlling it or other companies like EE controlling it, now the same exact questions to delay this matter even further are being put forward for Ubisoft's case. Why on earth would anyone want Ubisoft to handle the cloud gaming when 49% of that company is owned by Tencent? At least that's what I read. You know, at this point, I kind of want Tencent to, after this, if this actually works out and it goes through by the 18th of October, I kind of want Tencent to move in and take that 2% as well, get that 51% controlling rate, and then just say, hey, CMA, this is mine now. I can do what I want, and there's nothing you can do about it. And then play their own rules with their cloud gaming. I kind of want that. I just want something to go seriously wrong with this, so the CMA can look and see at what they did was entirely wrong, like completely wrong. And I want it to backfire, because they say they're there for the consumer, right? But what they're doing right now is removing games from the consumer. How is taking games away from those paying for their Game Pass deal better for the consumer? Please tell me this. It might be better for, and how is Ubisoft controlling it when they have their own cloud system better for the rest of the market? Now, of course, with the Uplay games, that's available on both Xbox and Sony. And I get that. But if Microsoft owns Activision and Blizzard, where is the exchange? Where is the Sony cloud games going on to Ubisoft? I don't get it. Where is that? But the CMA doesn't care about that. And you'll see a bunch of ponies online saying, well, they're not buying the biggest publisher. If Sony was buying Activision Blizzard, they can't afford it. But if they were buying Activision and Blizzard, do you think for a split second that they would have offered a single game to anyone? No. Guaranteed, no. Do you think the CMA would have stepped in? No. Anyone that says yes, please leave a comment below and let me know why you think that they would say the CMA would do anything about it. Because as of right now, the CMA has been Sony's bitch for the whole duration. And we know this, right? Everyone knows this, that the CMA and Sony have been in cahoots for the longest time. The only reason the CMA turned around and told Sony to step back is because the market definition changed. And when it did, they no longer could rely on that defense, so they needed to distance themselves from the whole thing. Now, Microsoft have two options that they could go, right? And let's not forget, if this doesn't end in October and the CMA decides for it to go the full review process, this is the kicker, right? This could go on for another year. I'm sick and tired of it, honestly. I want it to end. But it also means that by the CMA wanting it to go the full review process, which I genuinely believe they do, it gives the FTC in the meantime a much greater chance of putting forward another defense, which is going to be another court case and trials and yada, yada, yada. I mean, like I said, content is content. But as gamers, people that want to experience games, PlayStation players say, "Oh, you Xbox gamers don't buy their games. We buy our games." So what's the problem then if we get to play it on xCloud? Or if we get to play it on Game Pass? But as of right now, with the deal going through, this only affects, with the deal in the balance, this only affects the xCloud. The games, in theory, should still be downloadable via Game Pass, and for those of you on Xbox, you can still play it. It is just for the cloud portion of the gaming. So that brings me to my second point, right? Why on earth is this still ongoing? Why couldn't they split the part between the cloud gaming and the console gaming and make this two separate things? So the cloud, the console gaming side could have been approved today, because everything that the the CMA is doing right now has nothing to do with the actual console part of the game. Nothing. Zero. Zilch. Nothing. Nothing at all. Yet they are still trying to block the whole deal. Now, if the CMA came today and said, look, what we're going to do, as this is a new appeal for cloud gaming, Ubisoft controlling the xCloud, we are going to approve the console side of things, because there's no reason to block that, but we are going to withhold the cloud gaming side of things. You know what? I would have been perfectly okay with that, but that's not what they're doing. They want to fully block this deal. And as far as I can understand it, it is legally and factually wrong for them to withhold this deal. But they're still doing it because they want to go through a process to make it look like they are in power, but ultimately they are trying to show themselves as being strong, and they are trying to protect their image. But the reality is, any company outside of the UK looking at investing in the UK right now, they ain't gonna do it. Not with the CMA and Sarah Corley, the idiot in charge. But getting back to my point, Microsoft have two things that they can do right now. Number one, it doesn't matter. They have a new phase 1 where the CMA has opened another comment period ending the 1st of September. Microsoft and Activision and Blizzard will focus on this, as they are pretty confident in themselves, and they've released a blog update today by saying that Ubisoft will control xCloud in perpetuity, which basically means forever, or there's no end date. And they're perfectly fine with this. Now, Ubisoft will be giving Microsoft a large sum of money up front for the licenses of the game as a one-off fee in order to be able to do this. So it's not going to them for free. But at the end of the day, Microsoft will lose the kind of control of certain games going onto xCloud. Now, while this is going on, as a side note, I 100% hope that every single Bethesda game, be it multiplayer, single player, anything, just gets excluded from PlayStation indefinitely. I really hope that Microsoft goes down that route. Put it on any console you want, but just leave it off PlayStation. Yeah, I am pretty annoyed at this decision, and because at the end of the day, this is just another way that the CMA goes to try and protect Sony. And as someone that actually really likes his PlayStation, and I really like the single-player games that they put out there, because they don't really do any multiplayer, I feel like they are being way too overprotected. And at the end of the day, I don't like injustice. I am all for justice, and I do not like injustice. And right now, this is just injustice towards Xbox players and the Xbox community, and it's not right. But getting to the second point, they could procedurally go back to the CAT Tribunal, which I think they absolutely should do, and take the CMA to court over this, which I absolutely believe they should do, and go back to Marcus Smith and ask for the earliest appellate hearing. That's what I think they should do, personally, to completely overrule the CMA and just walk all over them and make them look as weak and imbecile as possible. This is the best approach, in my opinion now, to just ruin the CMA's credibility, reputation, and standing within the UK, so any company that comes along will just dismiss them going forward and make them look as worthless and powerless, and just remove any global power reputation that, they have. And I think that should be the approach Microsoft, because Microsoft is playing nice here, and this is how they're treating them. Microsoft hasn't taken the gloves off yet. If Microsoft take the gloves off, the CMA will not stand a chance. Of course, they can always just close, and that will be the end of it, and that is always an option. Now, obviously, for this to happen, they'd need to go and get a hearing for the appellate. The earliest they can do this, in my opinion, is probably late September now, maybe early October, before the actual hearing comes out. Obviously, the drawback of this is that if Marcus Smith agrees with the CMA, then there could be problems. But even he said that this decision should go through. There is no reason to block it. So if he's saying that there's no reason to block it, and he's the president of the CAT Tribunal, then what's there to block? But that's where it is right now, and that's where we are. The August 29th deadline is now officially a thing of the past. 1st September is the one that's coming along. We kind of anticipated that this was going to happen, but the logical deadline now is mid-end of September. But the CMA, knowing how much of a wanker they actually are, is probably going to take it all the way up to the 18th. Now, with that said, I wanted to just go over some Twitter stuff, so let's check that out. Now, for those of you that are still here, thanks so much for watching. Thanks so much for hearing me ramble and rage a little bit. It's been a while since I've got my juices going, but if you've enjoyed this content and do want to stay up to date with the ABK deal or just gaming news in general, do hit that like button, hit that subscribe. All you get is honest truth from me here, and I hope you enjoy it. Right, let's check this out over here. The @CMA Gov just announced that it is now investigating a new Microsoft Activision relevant merger situation. It involves a divestiture of streaming rights, which is what I've been talking about for a long time now. The new investigation was launched today, and Phase 1 decision has an October 18 deadline. Surprise, surprise! Just close the deal, Microsoft Xbox. The CMA are being ridiculous and just keep stalling so the FTC can get a footholding to try and support them and defend them and give them a standing, chance to fight this deal that Microsoft so desperately wants to go through after they've invested all that time and money. Yeah, I mean, we all saw it coming. The way they were delaying it continuously, we all saw it coming. Told you, Florian, that the deadline of August 29th would not be respected by the CMA. They trolled Microsoft. They 100% trolled Microsoft. These are delay tactics by CMA, and I believe Microsoft should have closed the deal around the CMA and worked with them. I mean, they should have closed it. Even Judge Marcus Smith turned around to this dude, to the Microsoft lawyers, and told them, why are you doing this? You can go to the appellate hearing. You will win. They don't have a case. But Microsoft wanted to be the good guys here. And it's crazy. I say close over the UK and come back to the table when the consumer backlash burns down the CMA. I agree. Microsoft needs to close over the CMA. This is a farce. The UK has done. It is. And if we go now here, at first sight, I would say the glass is half full. Now, Florian has, in my opinion, changed his tune a little bit. I can see why he's changed his tune. He doesn't want to be overly aggressive. He still is in full confidence that the deal will go through, no matter how long it takes. But it's a test for many people's patience. I don't think this is a test. In my opinion, the reality is they are stalling and they're trying to find every opportunity. And, we will know after this after this situation, that once this Ubisoft situation is sorted, if the CMA come back with another excuse, then they're just looking for anything and everything to block the deal. And Florian pretty much agrees with that as well. I too disagree with the final order prohibiting the merger in its original form. At the same time, I think the best solution now is for the modified transaction to be cleared, and soon. It really does, because this is going on too long. I really wanted this to be at Gamescom. It would have been so cool to see just a bunch of games dropping at the same time. I would like Microsoft to immediately resume the CAT Tribunal. Hey, he agrees with me. Appeal in parallel to pursuing the new investigation of the restructured deal, and to ask for early October. Here, there you go. See, my dude agreed to me. But don't know what they'll decide. I believe the CMA Gov's decision today warrants that step. I do too. I fully agree with what he's saying here. I'm bored and annoyed, but neither disheartened nor angry. I trust that when all is said and done, the UK will have shown it's open for business. The UK has shown that it is not open for business. The UK has shown that it is only open for business with those that ally with Sony. Why are you defending the CMA? They changed the route twice against the deal. See, I told you. He has gotten softer on this deal. And I mean, this is still fine. People can have a change of heart. I've made it clear that I disagree with the CMA, but I think the glass is half full. I don't agree with that. How so? It all shows is the UK system is broken. Sure, the FTC looks worse, but the US system is set up so a judge can slap them down. No such thing in the UK. The CMA acts with seeming impunity. They are not open for business. And in my opinion, the CMA has a personal grudge against Microsoft. The way they're going about this is clear as day, that their personal grudge against Microsoft is pretty heavy to see. Do you think the news of today could have killed the deal, or as was expected? I'm lost because people say CMA already rejected restructured. No decision has been made on the new deal. The original deal has been blocked officially, and that deal has been upheld. The new deal, which may be fast-tracked or may take another year, 2 years, 3 years, is now underway. But the assumption is that the new deal will be fast-tracked across. Now here we go. Ubisoft's involvement makes sense in terms of major independent, sophisticated, well-resourced players coming in. No, it does not. It only makes sense if you've got the opposing competition also providing their cloud service to Ubisoft, so Ubisoft controls the global cloud market. In political and legal context, a decision can be wrong with respect to the case or issue at hand, but still make institutional sense. That is the case here. It doesn't reflect extremely favorably on the UK though. So why are shares up of Activision by $1 in pre-market on this bad news? Because Activision shareholders stand to make a lot more money. They're getting a lot more money because the September deadline is being missed. And with the October deadline being missed, that's because it's not going to be done by the end of October, I don't think. They stand to make a lot more money and walk away with the company intact. Because at the 18th of October, the reality is Activision and Blizzard shareholders can decide that's enough. We've got our $3 billion there plus the $5 billion. We've got $8 billion from Microsoft. We're happy with this. We're going to keep our company and we're not going to sell our shares and we're done. And then Microsoft basically loses out on everything, which is essentially what the CMA wants. And Florian says the market sees that this deal is on the right track. But yeah. The price would be higher. All going according to plan, the stock price will now gradually converge on the bid price. This delay to help the FTC with their appeal, that's what the CMA is doing. This here comes up all the time, but the FTC appeal, apart from lacking merit anyway, and the appellate judges not appearing impressed, is going to take longer than the UK process. So we are hoping. This is not going to result in a deadlock situation, given how long these appeals typically take. But the CMA is doing exactly the same thing, and I don't know. The European Commission doesn't have to do a whole new investigation. It's only about ensuring that the committee's commitments already made to the European Commission will be kept. I agree with this. The European Commission's done with it. People don't need to worry about the European Commission. As you can see here, Ubisoft will hold complete charge of the Activision and Blizzard PC. What's this? Let's see. As you can see here, this includes executing an agreement effective at the closing of our merger that transfers the cloud streaming rights for all current and new Activision, Blizzard, PC and console games released over the next 15 years to Ubisoft Entertainment, a leading global game publisher. The rights will be in perpetuity. So that basically means indefinitely, as there is no end date. I discussed this in my Twitter space today, but let me clarify it here since Peter asked. The next 15 years are the capture period, as this is called in patent and other license agreements. All current ABK games and all the ones released over the course of 15 years following the closing of the deal will be subject to the agreement. The streaming rights for the titles released during the capture period are not time limited, so if anyone still wanted to stream, say, a game released in 2038 in 2050, then the contract would still allow that. Of course, at some point, outdated versions of games will no longer be commercial relevance. So that's what this means here. So when it says indefinitely, it just means that any game released in those 15 years, which is pretty much, I guess, the same as the 10-year deal as they were offering to other people. So I guess this isn't too bad with the whole Ubisoft thing. But so for 15 years, instead of 10 years, it's now going to be 15 years. But those games that are already there on the cloud, Microsoft can't stop them. So for example, if Call of Duty 4 is on the cloud, in 20 years' time, it will still be on the cloud. But Call of Duty 5, that was released 20 years later, that will no longer be under the purview of Ubisoft. Now, this over here is from Ben. It's a good take. My main takeaway is that Microsoft really didn't care about the cloud. I mean, they're losing money from it. think it's a revenue generating thing was a regular concern and not an industry focus. I mean, it was a massive industry focus for them because they wanted to be first. Florian says Microsoft's willingness to do this is proof that the deal is about mobile first, some other priorities second, and not about leveraging ABK games to dominate cloud streaming. Cloud sounds like a big dollar because of the enterprise cloud business. Cloud gaming is chump change. Mobile gaming, of course, there's nothing out there like mobile gaming. Giving up trying to understand, based on the specifics of the ABK deal, why that new phase 1 investigation is taking place. Neither the CMA nor Microsoft are going through that exercise because of the ABK deal per se. It's about their organization's wider overreaching. And there you go. It's got nothing to do with Xbox. It's got nothing to do with, the gamers. All the CMA wants to do is Microsoft is too big, Microsoft bad, we don't want Microsoft to grow. And that is ultimately what it is. Why would any non-UK company want to deal with the CMA after seeing this? To me, it shows the opposite. If I were a big corporation, I no longer invest and slowly begin the process of leaving. There are admittedly better strategies to attract foreign direct investment. So the original deal is officially blocked by the CMA. It is the only regulator in the world to block it, but there is a new one on the table that will give Ubisoft 15 years of control of xCloud. The actual games coming after that 15 years will most likely return back to Microsoft. I know this video went on for quite a while, so thanks for watching, and if you have enjoyed this, do leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Mainland.